All right, all right, all right. Good afternoon, good afternoon. All of my panelists, I would like to ask you to unmute your camera feeds and your feeds and welcome to Pandamonium 2020. I am one of your co-hosts, Stephen Sy, aka Light Real.
And it's your boy Malcolm. Hello to my panel. What's up, y'all?
Good afternoon and welcome to Pandemonium 2020. We are so thrilled to have you all here today to have this great conversation on an amazing topic. I just want to cut to our panel feed real quick so that everybody understands what we are talking about this afternoon. This afternoon, our third panel of Pandemonium 2020 is entitled Esports and Education to Drive Workforce Development. It is going to be an amazing panel because we have a tremendous lineup of speakers to hear from today. Typically, we budgeted an hour for these panels, but I have a feeling now that this one's going
Yeah,
to go a little over.
we're
So
going at
we
least an
got
hour and a half.
we got some great speakers to hear from. So hopefully you all can stay with us the whole time because we know you got gems to drop, and our viewers are here and excited to hear from you. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists. First, we have Keshia Walker from the Black Collegiate Gaming
She got
Association.
on that Rattler shirt. I see you.
No
I
doubt.
see you.
Represent.
The Black Collegiate Gaming Association's purpose is to pivot black students into the overall gaming industry, not only as consumers, but as contributors. They strive to build up students that will be prepared to interview and become a part of the gaming industry, both on the competitive and corporate level. Welcome, Keshia. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good day. Thank you.
Our next panelist is Professor Todd Sayre of the Delaware College of Art and Design. Tad is the program chair for animation at DCAD, where he instructs animation and foundation arts courses. Tad is an experimental animator who exhibits work regionally and internationally. He also works commercially, creating online content for businesses and organizations such as the Delaware History Museum, Maryland Coastal Bays Program, Greater Wilmington Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the Camden County Community College. Welcome, Tad.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. Next, we have Logan Herring of many hats, Kingswood Community Center, Reach Riverside Project, as well as an organization we've been featuring throughout our stream here, the Teen Warehouse. Logan was raised in Wilmington's West Center City neighborhood. He knows that other people help guide him to success, and his goal is to pay it forward. Started his work in the Riverside neighborhood of Wilmington as the executive director for Kingswood Community Center. He is also CEO of the Reach Riverside Project, which stands for Redevelopment, Education, and Community Health. He's leading a $250 million revitalization of the neighborhood under the nationally acclaimed and Warren Buffett funded Purpose Built Communities model. Welcome, Logan.
Sheesh, Logan.
Pleasure to be
Logan,
here.
Logan
What's
on
up?
fire right now, dog.
Uh, Next, we have Markevis Gideon.
My guy.
Yo,
Wu Tang, baby.
Wu
all
Tang.
day.
Markevis is the CEO of Nerd It Now. Markevis is also has a foundation, the Nerd It Now Foundation. Markevis runs a program through his Nerd It Now company, which is an IT repair school where he trains aspiring youth through purpose-driven programming to potentially engage as IT technicians in the future. And Markevis also, through his foundation, has donated a number of laptops through the support of organizations here in Delaware to help close the digital divide. So welcome, Markevis Gideon.
I appreciate it. And I see Logan over there saying, yup, I'm Riverside board member, but born and raised Riverside all day, Wu-Tang, all love.
And Markevis has recently been elected to the Leadership Delaware program as a Leadership Delaware Fellow. So shout out to Markevis as well.
All love.
In addition to our panelists, we have Christopher Turner. Welcome, Christopher. Christopher is the general manager and head esports coach at Southern University and A&M College out of Baton Rouge. As a young educator, graphic design, visual arts, and technology has always been a great passion of Chris's. He has more than 8 years of teaching experience and has found a way to effectively incorporate esports educational advancements in both K through 12 and collegiate settings. Chris has also coached a young man who I believe is now working on his second attempt to be a back-to-back national champion in NBA 2K. So welcome, Chris. And last but certainly not least, we have our guy, Tariq Hook, aka Big Body Small Wheels.
Big Body Small Wheels.
Tariq is the Director of Education and Programming at Code Differently. Code Differently.
Boss, that's not my title.
All right. Well, look, you want to say your title? Go ahead and say it.
Co-founder and CIO, man. We got another person that's that title.
Okay, I'm sorry. Co-founder and CIO of Code Differently, an organization who has purposely made it its mission to get more Black youth into the coding space and into STEM career fields. Tariq is also
Black, not just Black, Hispanic, and any underrepresented community.
Thank you for the
We
correction.
don't want no
smoke. We don't want no sauce.
We don't want no sauce. We don't want no sauce. Big Body Small Wheels.
Big Body Small Wheels.
And Tariq is also an avid Mario Kart player. We have midday Mario Kart.
That is trash.
Oh, hold on, pause. All right, number one. The last time we played, Malcolm, you didn't even get on the board, all right? The garbage. And I want to hear nothing about Mario Kart from you, from someone who lost so horribly, all right? With no excuses. So Big Body, Small Wheels.
All right. Welcome, Tariq. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us, everyone. We want to start really quickly with each of you. Like I said, this is a heavy hitter panel full of leaders in the community, in the space, advancing youth in STEM fields, career fields, esports. So really quickly, just want to go around the table, and our first sort of question is, tell us a little bit about the work you do, your organization, and why you chose to focus on this particular profession. So I'm going to start with you, Keshia.
Am I the only lady on the panel? Who's Emily?
Emily's background. She's background.
Oh, okay.
She's our tech. She's one of our techs.
Well, I guess I'll represent for the women then.
Yes, you are Black Girl Magic today. Yes, you are.
Black Girl Magic all day, and HBCU love as well. And to any of you, I don't know who else other than Chris representing for this HBCUs, and I'm representing for the Dirty South ATL. But thank you so much for the time today. I appreciate it. So excited about first and foremost, as a Black woman, a woman of color, being able to create history in 2020, especially when I'm about to tell my age. I started playing Atari and Xbox more than 35 years ago. So this is definitely a full circle moment for me. So I'll start there, but excited about being able to create history by creating the first and having the first collegiate esports and gaming company in the world. So super excited about that. Even more excited about the 16 charter member schools, where we're going to start off creating that history with 16 HBCUs. But it's so much bigger than our historically Black colleges and universities. I knew that was the best place to start. One, as a proud 2-time graduate of HBCU, my entire family, brothers, sisters, and parents all attended HBCUs. So it's in my DNA. It's all that I know. I also know the amazing, undergraduate, graduate, and even PhDs that graduate from HBCUs. So I knew starting there, we'd be able to reach a large number of phenomenal individuals across different majors and opportunities to get them into more the career industry side of the space. We represent more than 65% of people that game between the ages of 13 and 24, but we're less than 3% of those individuals that work in the industry that create the games, the gaming systems, the accessories, the hardware, the software that we're using and spending a whole bunch of money on every day as Black African-American consumers, purchasers. So there's a need to diversify this space. So that was really what got me into it. That and my nephew who's 11, who is a gamer. He's been gaming the last 3 years. And when I went home for his 11th birthday, he told me and showed me who he was following and trying to emulate as professional gamers, of which we're less than 1% of the professional gaming community. He showed me his top 10 professional gamers. He showed me the 3 schools where he wanted to attend college on a scholarship and play on their esports teams. And none of those schools were HBCUs. None of the individuals he showed me in the professional gaming space were Black, and even more concerning, they weren't women. And so I told him I needed to do something to change that, because I want to at least give him an option of being able to attend an HBCU if he wants to when he's old enough, and be able to get a scholarship, play on their esports teams, and graduate with an esports and gaming degree if that's what he wishes. So we are going to make that happen for him. We started in May, and we've got a lot more to come.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, thank you. Well, Chris, tell us a little bit about how you got into gaming and a little bit about some of the work that you've done at SU Labs, as well as your current role, as GM of Southern University in A&M. I think you're on mute, Chris.
Can you hear him?
No, we can't. We can't hear you. No, your audio's not coming through. All right, we'll switch to Tad and hopefully we'll be able to get you fixed. So Tad, tell us a little bit about DCAD and what you do at DCAD.
Sure. Thanks a lot for having me again. So at the Delaware College of Art and Design here in Wilmington, we offer an AFA, which means an Associate's in Fine Arts degree. It's a 2-year program in graphic design, illustration, animation, fine arts, and I'm missing one. I know, photography, that's the one. But we send creatives out into the world, either onto another BFA program at another institution, or people need to go out into that workforce. My own animation students, and I've been in this position for 6 years now, do go on to careers in the field of animation, film, and of course, video games. So I'd love to talk more, and I think we will, about sort of the creative's role in all of the sort of esports community, which I think is a huge part of it. So I look forward to talking to you about education.
Excellent, excellent. Markevis, I know that you and I and Malcolm have had a tremendous number of conversations around what you do from a standpoint of how that supports the gaming community. Tell us a little bit about Nerd It Now.
When a lot of people see Nerd It Now today, they see Shark Tank, Shark Tank, Shark Tank. But I remind them of the kid that grew up in Riverside, the kid whose parents didn't graduate from high school, the kid who had big dreams and everyone put nothing but limitations onto him. That same kid, after getting a computer donated to him, went to Howard High School to become a Microsoft certified systems engineer by 17 years old. When most people didn't think I can go to college, I went off to college and graduated with both a computer science and accounting degree just to go to China for 5 years, come back and buy an old ambulance that everybody thought was dumb. Just like a lot of people think the gaming industry is dumb. You can't make money doing this stuff. It's the same dumb idea that takes you to the moon. That same idea, that ambulance, got me to Shark Tank. It got me the idea where people actually start believing in our business to help mobilize us to not only donate 100 computers back into the community like our first step doing, but getting to a year of COVID where we've been able to donate almost 4,000 computers back into the community, over 500 in Riverside alone, helping Black and Brown communities close that digital divide. So when people say it's not probable, I tell kids don't look at the probability, look at the possibility. That's what Nerd It Now is about. Focus on possibility versus probability to make your dreams come true.
Fantastic. Logan, give us a little bit of a more in-depth insight into the Teen Warehouse. We've been featuring them throughout the stream, but you being there firsthand, talk about the warehouse, the programming, what you see as it relates to the possibilities and opportunities for esports.
Yeah, so the warehouse, the tagline is for teens by teens. And everything you see behind me in terms of the architecture, the furniture, the colors, everything was selected, chosen by teens. So our programming, our services is no different. We operate under 5 pillars of success: recreation, education, arts, career, and health. So you can see how gaming is tied and intertwined within those 5 pillars. And having over 150 partners working on delivering all of those services and programs to teens. The most important thing I think we can do as adults is to empower our teams to dream big and to take their passions
Mm.
and turn it into something where they can make a career out of it. So that's what I see with gaming. It's an opportunity as we eliminate barriers and provide resources. We have to provide
It
exposure
should.
and experiences so we can build careers out of it. And there are plenty of careers where you can make a fruitful living, but if you don't know about them, you can't take advantage of them. So I think that's what gaming is about. And I can say right now, with this esteemed panel, that I'm the person furthest away from gaming because I do not game by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm interested in learning all from you how I, as a leader, can support gaming even more with what we do here at the warehouse.
Fantastic. We got Chris back. Let me see if is your Chris. You good on audio now?
Yeah, I should be.
Yes, you're
I'm
good. You're
good.
good. Yep, you're good. So
All right.
welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So we'll kick it back to you. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
what you do and some of your experience in the industry.
Yeah, so pretty much you did the small introduction, but it all started at Southern Laboratory School. I've always been an avid gamer. My director is an avid gamer, and we just started having the conversation around STEM and STEAM. Realized that esports wasn't a popular thing in Louisiana at all. We really don't have the infrastructure for it, but I saw it across the nation. So started an esports team at the lab school. I lucked up. I had some great gamers. We got some runner ups and some scholarships and a national championship. Like you said before, I have a student that's about to do hopefully a two-peat. We've built the first esports lab in Louisiana. Period. Whether it's collegiate, high school, middle school, or whatnot, we should be doing a ribbon cutting on that particular lab late January, and we hopefully we repeat the same thing at Southern, the university side, and we're building the only pipeline in the country in real time as far as reaching out to students and
He froze a little bit.
Might have been a mic drop. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. I think he froze a little bit, but all good. All right, we'll get him
That was a
back.
great time to drop the mic.
Yeah,
drop my.
exactly. He was like, "Yo, we the first. What?"
He dropped some gems.
Tariq, man, talk about code differently, man, and how your programming dovetails and helps transition into STEM industries.
Cool
Right.
glasses.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So Code Differently is a company that sparked from the need to make sure that underrepresented communities can get into tech. Me and my business partner, we've worked at the highest levels of tech in the industry. However, one of the things that we always noticed is that our faces were not um, present there. Like, I would go to conferences for developers, and if there's 2,000 people there, I was one out of five black people. And people still confuse my face with other people's faces, which was hilarious. I also stole people's meetings too, so like whatever. Like, I'm gonna get that contract. So what we did was we felt this need to give back, so we created this company. And what we do is we partner and we focus on pipelines. We partner with companies, we partner with universities, and we partner with schools. And what we do is we create strategic pipelines for people to get into tech wherever you are, whether that be coding, whether that be 3D game design, whether that be multimedia. What we do is, like another panelist said, if you don't know what the opportunities are, you don't know what to aim for. So what we do is we illustrate, illuminate, and facilitate people getting on these pathways so that they can get into this industry and get that money. Secure the bag. Big body, small wheels. I'm out.
Big body,
I'll
small
try to be
wheels.
like Tariq when I grow up.
So, Chris, when we kick it back to you. So, first question: how do you define STEM or even STEAM education, and why do you believe that gaming and esports should be included in today's instructional curriculum?
I think it's not of the norm. It's if you talk to educators, the first thing they say is like, gaming, and I am an educator, and so I don't think they really understand the STEM and STEAM related things that go on within esports. We talk about like the teamwork and developing the kids, and when I talk to educators, I talk about the attendance rate going up, or taking a 4-star athlete and what we consider a nerd, and they're developing relationships. So you have, but if you look at the numbers as far as development,
I think we lost Chris again.
Yeah, Chris is a little
they'll
bit of feed.
overachieve
There you
within
go.
the class.
Yeah, Chris, your feed is cutting
It's
in
a
and
young
out.
industry, and everybody's still learning and still gravitating to it every day. Uh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, but what he was saying
Okay.
was so prolific. We
I
still
don't know
got
what's.
the gist of it.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tad, same question. You know, how do you define STEAM education? Why should it be part of today's curriculum, especially at the middle and high school level?
Well, I think it's an absolutely huge part of this industry. If you think of the video game industry, the arts part of that STEAM is super important, but also your science, tech, engineering, mathematics, it all helps develop your experience in the game. If you are a lover of games, you probably have experienced physics, right, within the game itself. It would be nice for you to understand that on a very basic level. I think it might help your game, but I think it might also help people at least to be interested in going into the industry in something in the creative aspect of this gaming field. I'm blabbing, but does that make sense?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Any of our panelists want to expand on that? Keshia, maybe?
Well, we are focusing on a new STEM, and no offense, but I know a lot of students consider STEM and STEAM, for those who know what it means, as the non-cool opportunities and roles, and they don't want to a lot of times be associated with that. I know from a college perspective, we're going after STEM in a new way to help them, more importantly, understand that it's much bigger than the traditional ways you think of gaming and esports in terms of game development, software engineering. That it's our S is for sound, around music, broadcasting. We're trying to expand again, help them understand the other opportunities that are available there and the other majors that can be a part of this amazing industry. T, we did keep the traditional T technology, but more so being able to work in technology, exist in technology around esports and gaming. Our E is entertainment, and our M is media. And again, when you look at, you've got digital media, you've got graphic design, you've got animation, as Tad is can speak from. You've got art. You use there's so many. You can do so many different ways and opportunities to readjust how they look at and think about it. You've got music production, choreography. I mean, there's all types of ways. You can get into finance, logistics. I told you trucking. You know, we need product developers, product managers. So there's so many. They need agents. And then you've got marketing, and then you get into production around the events and activities. Even today, look at how Emily is backstage, but that's a job, producing virtual events
Oh
and
yeah.
or the
Yes, it is.
streaming or activities, and that's opportunities that the students can get paid and still be in and around esports and gaming. We also want them to know that the professional gaming side of esports is very similar to traditional sports. It's got a lifespan, and so by the time if you get to 26 and you're still able to professional game, you've been blessed, but you're not going to still be professional gaming at 30 plus. So you've got to figure out if you really love the space, how to exist 15, 20 years from now. And that's why we're trying to diversify the pipeline and get individuals, these young people, into corporate opportunities and jobs. So 15, 20 years down the line, they're making 6, 7 figures in this space. And more importantly, they're helping to make decisions that impact the games they play. And they can start seeing more people look like them outside of just the sports games, that they're playing.
Logan, talk a little bit about how the warehouse defines STEM and what programs that you have in place that you engage your teens with. And,
Yeah,
and
so
sorry, great point, Keshia. So every organization can define STEM differently. The traditional definition is science, technology, engineering, math. When you get to STEAM, that A would stand for the arts. But even us as Futures First Gaming as an organization, we replace the E with entrepreneurship. So everybody defines it a little bit differently. So sorry, Logan, go ahead.
No, it's all good. And that's all Tad said that Keisha just listed 20 different jobs. So I don't know how much else I have to offer. Like I said, I'm the neophyte in this group. But really, when we look at those five pillars that we have at the warehouse and relying on the partnerships that we have, some of those partnerships are right here in this group. Futures First, Code Differently, Nerd It Now. So, we're partnering with all of you. As a matter of fact, in 2021, we will be employing over 125 teams throughout the year, putting them through a 90-day workforce development program to make sure that they are prepared to enter and experience the different career treks and opportunities, and partnering with great folks like yourself, where there is representation for folks that look like them. I mean, that is the difference. That is the definition of impact. So, like I said, I'm gonna be leaning on all of you, and that's the model that we have at the warehouse. Is we don't need to create our own programming. We rely on those partnerships that we have with the great folks like yourself.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So one of the things that we have to look at is education as a whole, right? The way education is set up right now, it's outdated. It was set up for a post-industrial revolution factory worker type mindset where you're going to follow instructions, go from A to B, and memorize things. Those were skills that were valued late 1800s, early 1900s. And now we're in this kind of like creative creator explosion right now, where you're starting to see people monetize their imagination in ways that 10, 15 years ago didn't exist, right? And the problem with minority communities is that they're always influencers, first to influence, last to monetize, right? So now is the time to kind of like really focus on, look, you have all of this creativity, you're out there, you're doing these different things, whether it's on TikTok where you're creating the latest dance craze and not getting credit for it and not being the one to be the first to monetize it, or you are magnificent in video games and you're spending all this time. And again, people are learning from you, people are consuming your content, and then they're monetizing it, right? Because we don't know that those opportunities are there. So this is why it needs to be part of that of the ecosystem of education, because the thing is that everything that we do can be monetized. Everything has a value. And until we really know how to identify what has value and then also claim it and mold it, then we're always going to be behind.
So Tariq, I actually want to keep going with that thought, right? So how do you convince these parents, right, that esports and gaming and the things that are open that can the pathways that can open up from these gaming, just from gaming period, how can you convince these parents that it's not a waste of time? Because I remember as I was growing up as a kid, my mom would tell me, get off, like she would scream at me, get off the game, you're gonna break my TV, blah 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 blah. And ironically, my mom calls me for all technology purposes now, right? So how do you put yourself in a space? Matter of fact, I want to ask Tariq, and then I'll kick this, and then after Tariq, we'll go to Markevis. How do you convince these parents that this stuff is not a waste of time and that they can really grow if they actually double down and focus on it?
Money.
Tariq,
right?
let them see your bank statement, Tariq.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. But what I will say is, what you do is you show them the money. Like, look at when the NFL first came out, right? Or the AFL or the XFL or any type of traditionalized sport, right? Getting people to commit to it in the beginning was always convincing them where the money is, right? So if you want to convince parents, it's a simple education. Point to YouTubers, right? I was saying, point out all the different ways that people have already learned how to monetize it, and talk about how your kid has a natural talent for this, and you are moving them away from something that they could naturally make money at. And what's the name? It's a higher probability that you make money as an e-gamer than playing football. Not that there's anything wrong with playing football. And a lower probability of you getting any hurt other than some carpal tunnel, right? It's an education play, right? The parents need to be educated. But the thing too is that, like, in that education, there has to be balance, right? Like, it's not just kids playing on the game, right? It's the business behind it, the entrepreneurship behind it, right? It has to be packaged, crafted, and designed for the communities that we want to go into.
Markevis.
We just jumped around to like three different things, but I think I'm gonna say STEM. Going back there, the T. I'm obviously within that technology realm, but that changed the E into entrepreneurship, and like Keisha said, there's over 20 different jobs within the STEM, STEAM, whichever you want to call it. I, like Logan, don't play games anymore after fits and screens all day, every day. I don't want to look at another one. However, if you take what Tariq just said and you actually educate people's parents, educate them of the opportunity. Now, if you ask a parent, like you ask my parents, my grandparents, 30 years ago, do you think everyone will have a computer in their house? They'll say no. Could you say 15 years ago, everyone will be talking on their cell phones via video? They'll say no. 10 years from now, I have no idea what's going to be, but I know that one of these kids is going to be the new inventor. They're going to innovate and make change. And if we continue to put kids into these blocks, and when I say kids, like it doesn't matter because it could be a 60-year-old that come and kill all of us in a e-gaming sport. I believe we're not going to put any limitations on anybody and really just open people up. Now, again, you want to give them structure and show them the way. Like it's not just playing games all day. That's not the way. But if you say, okay, I'm gonna spend this much time actually playing a game, I'm gonna watch other gamers, see all their skills that they're doing. I'm gonna go ahead and figure out how I can start monetizing this, whether it's through sponsorships, commentating on YouTube. There's like a strategy you can do thinking like an entrepreneur. And when you put an entrepreneur with any task, they're going to make it work. You just can't limit them.
Can I jump in on that because that's an excellent point, right? So anybody that's on like TikTok, right? There's this whole thing when your views drop and people are like I've been shadow banned. Ooh, there's no such thing as shadow ban, right? What happens is that your engagement is low, your content sucks, right? Like so the thing is that like, but there's all this misinformation out there on how you engage your audience and everything, and then come up with these weird things and excuses and whatnot, right? So like education to everything that Markevius just said is the most important thing. Like you got to show them the business around it.
Yeah, completely agree with y'all. Especially, and all y'all, majority of the panelists know I put out a lot of content. So I don't believe in like the whole algorithm this or algorithm that. I just keep going, right? So I wanted this next question. I want to focus on. I want to shoot it to Keshia and Chris, right? Um, why do you guys believe that there's only 10% of STEM professionals? They are people of color, right? Like we're just not represented in these industries, right? So why are we not represented in these industries? We'll go for Keisha, Chris, and then we'll jump back up to Tariq.
Like I said, I think the first opportunity is our parents or our mentors, advisors. Everybody wants their kids to go into these safe jobs, lawyers, teachers, doctors, and they have to be open to accepting when their students or children are interested in something that is not one of those traditional jobs that fits in one of those traditional molds or boxes. That's the first thing. I think they have the opportunity too. And a lot of times with parents, and I had this challenge with my sister, and the reason why BCJ exists now is my sister, just like a lot of parents, they shy away from things that they're not familiar with, that they don't understand, or when they think you're literally playing around. So you've got to help them understand the opportunity there. Parents should be getting some of the same, and hopefully there are some parents on today. If not, I would suggest, and hopefully you're recording this, that the young people that are on will show their parents, this discussion, this panel today, so they can see, wow, look at what I can do and how many different directions I can go in with all these amazing individuals that are on here. And they can become an entrepreneur now. With esports, you can start getting at 14, 15 professional gaming or start earning money. There may not even be an age limit these days. So they can start making money right now, helping their households. But that so it's just, to me, it's just a matter of expanding young people's horizons, and then also showing their parents as well along the way, guardians, how it can be possible. And and we need to take this too to the YMCA's, the Boys and Girls Clubs, the rec centers, all the places where these young people are existing. Chris mentioned how they're doing it at the high school level. We can even start in middle school and literally start reprogramming that this is a space. This is one of the few industries that has become pandemic proof, and we're going to be in this pandemic mode or whatever you guys want to call this up, for at least another 6 to 12 months. And so, and this industry is continuing to thrive and remain profitable. And so, parents need to start and students need to start looking at opportunities in industries that have made it through these type of storms. And hopefully, we don't come into another storm like this. But if we do, we at least know that it can exist and thrive during this time.
Chris, your opinions.
Um, Pretty much. I think Keisha was hit a couple of hitters there as far as you have to reach the parents. You have to pretty much show them. Hopefully when COVID is over, we start some streams. We can invite some of our parents in and kind of show them what the students are doing hands on. It's all about exposure and education, and so you have to expose the parent. You have to show the parent what you can do, and just be real careful about selling them the pipe dream. Like, yeah, we could all push our content. I'm an entrepreneur as well as an educator, but you know uh, to focus on those jobs Keisha talked about. Every company or entrepreneur needs a graphic designer. They need a production person. You need somebody to do the coding and not just sell them, because let's be honest, our top gamers that are flying on jets and making these $1 million deals, that's your top 1 percentile. That's like telling every kid they can go and be LeBron. So it's not going to happen like that. So, you know, just uh, just keep educating your communities. I think everybody here is doing a good job at pushing their communities forward and educating the communities at the same time. And so with that parent piece though, you have to show them the ecosystem. You have to show them in real time so they can see it, so they can feel it, and they know exactly what esports is. Because I'm in that generation too. My mom told me to get off the game. I'm gonna break the TV and go outside and play. So that's been our track, that's been our mindset, and that's what we've been trying to do all these decades. And so now that we're in this technology space, and we've been in the technology space for some decades now, it's time to change the conversation.
I'm
I,
not. Can I be a little provocative here? I think we're overstating the need to influence the parents. And I think the mark that we're missing is that when we say that people of color, particularly Black students, are underrepresented in these fields and these opportunities, uh, we're also underrepresented in terms of the relationships with our youth, our teens, and their parents to start with. So I think the focus should be more on the teens and the youth and building the masses of education and informing them of why it's important, and then making it more, it's a cool thing to be into the STEM fields. It's a cool thing to be not just into gaming, but the careers that can then follow. Because, as I know it, in working in the nonprofit field, it's great when you have those relationships with the families. And I'm not saying that that shouldn't happen, but establishing the relationship with the family is the first thing you do. And then you can begin to educate the family. But too often, those relationships between the parents and their children themselves isn't really there. So when we look at the most critical time and vulnerable time for youth, it's that 3, 4 hours after school. There's no parent around. Parents aren't getting home till 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and working multiple jobs and raising multiple children. That is the demographic. Those are the statistics that you see, particularly in low income inner city neighborhoods of color. So it's
so
more
Logan,
about, let's focus on the youth, and then the
do you
parents
see
will
that as
follow.
like a as like a huge barrier of it? Let's just say, you got you and I know you personally, Logan, you have a lot of these good relationships with these families, right? Do you see their home situations as a barrier of entry to try to get into these type of career fields, or to really dig into some things like this? Like, what do you see on your day-to-day operations that will potentially hold some of these kids back from getting into things like this?
What I would tell you is I don't see the parents. Like, it's, and not not in a bad way. I think that we've established enough trust, but most importantly, we've established relationships with the teams themselves. So once you establish those relationships with the teams and they're getting excited about it, there's nothing more that a parent wants for their child than for them to be passionate about something that's positive. And they're not even necessarily, for the most part, looking about, well, what happens with career. Are they in a safe place? Do they enjoy being there? Those are like the main two things. And then if they're not outside shooting each other, killing each other, or doing something unproductive, then we can get into, all right, now what's the next steps in life? And the relationships that my team has with the students supersedes anything that's really happening at home right now. I got kids that are in the warehouse 12 hours a day because they're a part of the LGBT community and they're not even accepted at home. So the relate sometimes, and I would say a lot of times, a lot of instances, the relationships we have with the teams is more influential, more powerful than the relationships they have at home. And that's not to knock anything that happens at home. What I'm saying is focus on the consumer, the teams. That's who we should be focusing on. And the
Logan,
parents is
Logan,
somewhat a byproduct of it. Yes, sir.
yeah. No, I got a question for you real quick. So how do we build around full support around that kid if they're not getting it at home, like you're saying?
Well, I mean, that's what our organizations are about. It's that holistic support. So it's not just providing them with a place, to have a good time. It's are they into wellness? Are they eating properly? Are they exercising? Are they getting those career opportunities? Are they getting opportunities to earn money? A lot of our teams are actually providing money to support the overall income, their household income. Are they getting opportunities to explore different careers? Are they thinking about their academic pursuits? Are they, improving their GPA, then looking at college or trades or the next step in life? Like the relationships we have with teens, there's a small percentage of, well, what does your mom think or what does your dad think? Because the
Mm.
parents are going to follow what their teens want. The country is going to follow what the youth want to do. Gun reform. Like, I mean, we follow the youth. If you look at MLK and a lot of our great past leaders, they started in their teens and early 20s. Like, let's
Yeah.
stop defaulting to the parents.
I agree to a certain extent.
I said I'm gonna be
Uh,
provocative, brother. I'm gonna push you.
oh yeah.
So let me
It's
let me
all
add on.
good.
Oh, let me add on to that. So I'm gonna sync up with Logan, right? For anybody, especially when you're talking about underrepresented places, it's because they don't identify, right? So how does somebody identify in a certain spot, right? You got to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So people can't even think about self-actualization or identity until their physiological needs are met, till their safety needs are met, to love and belonging. They feel that sense of community until their esteem is there. And then you get self-actualization, right? Some of that is done through the house and the family. Some of that is done, but a lot of that has to do with the actual individual and identifying that I belong there so they don't focus or they don't suffer from imposter syndrome. When they walk into a room, they think that they don't belong there. So every time they hit any type of hardship, they immediately default out or they immediately walk out.
So I'm
We got
gonna
a question in the chat.
That's
yeah,
good word. That's good
we
word,
actually
brother.
had
That's
a
good word.
we actually had a oh yeah, wait, shout out to Big Body Small Wheels with the Maslow's law. We had a question in our Twitch chat, and I'll actually pose this to whoever would like to answer it.
It kind of builds on what you were just talking about,
Yeah,
Tariq.
Tariq.
Go ahead. And,
So actually, we'll start with Tariq, and then we'll just go from there. How critical is authenticity in esports as it pertains to connecting with our youth and building a successful pipeline for career development? So once again, how critical is authentic? And this is from Exposure GG, in our Twitch chat. How critical is authenticity in esports as it pertains to connecting with our youth and building a successful pipeline for career development?
Okay, so I love that question. So authenticity is always important, right? You're not going to get anybody to walk into a room they don't feel comfortable in, right? So if the person isn't authentically inviting them into the situation, or the person can't authentically identify with that person, it's not going to happen. You don't have that trust there. All right. Number two, when you're talking about esports, right, you got a couple different things that go along with esports, and it's the competitive part, but then there's also just the packaging and the show, right? Like somebody just sitting there and playing, and people are consuming you playing that game. So the only reason that somebody's going to tune in and watch you play a video game if they can play themselves is that there's something that is authentically calling out to them. All right. It's the same as when you're in like the making music, right? If somebody doesn't feel like they can authentically identify with you, they're not going to tune into you. They're not going to listen to your music. They're not going to want to consume your content.
Tad, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I actually have to be educated about how authenticity, my understanding, correlates to esports gaming. So actually, I'd like to hear more.
All right. So it's not just esports gaming, right? It's like, so one of the issues, I teach people how to do software development, right? But one of the things that I have to do is when you're trying to get underrepresented communities to come into something new, right? You have to convince them that they belong there. So like, if I'm going to talk to a bunch of African-American boys, that's easy for me. I got that all day long. Right. But if I want to convince women to come into this, I'm not that representative. Right. And I got to understand that I can't do that. Right. So I need to reach out to females in the industry so they can come and not only share their perspective of the good things, but how to navigate the bad things and all the things that they see. Right. When you're trying to go to the LGBTQ community. Right. I'm not the representative for them. There's no more cisgender than me. Right. But I'm cool with that. And I support them. So when I want to recruit them, I go out and find people in the industry that look like them, that talk like them, that can relate to them. Because the thing is, you want to know when you go into something that's going to be welcoming and safe, right? So in that, right, like you need people that are already there, right? Or people that know how to get there, right? So that when you're talking to me and I'm trying to convince you that this is something for you, I need to see myself in you. And it's not just ethnicity, right? That's just one of the ways that we identify with people. It could be like that, what's the name? You might want to trust me because I'm a weeb, right? A weeb is a person of non-Japanese descent that likes anime, right? Because there's certain things that weebs can relate to each other right now. I mean, so I can talk to you. Actually, one of my favorite lectures is when I'm trying to convince students to come in, right? Because they all watch anime, right? I try and explain why certain things that you do in programming is like being certain characters in Dragon Ball Z, right? And they immediately lock in and they can see where their interest is, and you can create those correlations.
Keisha.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're not. No, that's fine. I'll go Keshia, then Chris.
This is one I have no answers. I'm just listening.
Well, the thing is, look.
It takes a lot for me to be speechless, but I am.
Look. We got. Listen, we Tariq.
Tariq brought in the female perspective, so that's why we went to you. I mean, authenticity, like you mentioned it in your opening, how there's not enough representation visually, even though they may be in the industry and it's growing. Like if you look at individuals like an Aaron A. Simon and others, but from the question, how important is it to see that visual representation?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Absolutely. And so I know two things we're doing with BCGA is one, we're having an event. I would love to have Tariq and Markevis participate on panels called Black College Con. It's taking place in February 27th, the last Saturday during Black History Month. And we're also doing a Women Got Game event in March 21st, targeting women of color. And again, in both cases, based on our research, and there has not been a platform like this. We were hoping we would have been able to put it in a hybrid setting, but due to the pandemic and our numbers right now still continuing to rise, I'm not sure where this vaccinations are going to go. We're going to go virtual this spring, but for both the conference, Black College Con conference, and the Women Got Game Summit, we're setting up conversations, connections, and competition with Blacks, regardless if you went to an HBCU or not, that's interested in the gaming industry and esports, and women of color. Again, regardless of where you go to school, that are interested in esports and gaming, and we're going to show them women who are lead. We're first going to start off showing the history and the impact women of color have had in esports and gaming for 40 plus years. Same thing with Blacks with both conferences. Then we're going to take the day into a space where they get a chance to see successful entrepreneurs and executives in corporate America who are killing esports and gaming right now. And then we're going to show them what they need to do to prepare themselves to get into the space. And then we'll close out and we're going to connect them to job opportunities, internships and job opportunities, and then close out the day with the competition where they can win scholarships and prizes to help continue to build, their direction of getting an associate and/or college degree, and then and/or taking the money and using it to help build the arsenal that they need to continue to become an entrepreneur or contributor in the space.
So Keshia, not only will I be a panelist if you still inviting me, but my company wants to be a sponsor
Oh,
for the
thank you.
HBCU event.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
Where's the bank statement, Tariq?
I told you.
And y'all stay away from my bank statement.
Where
Secure the
is the bank
Secure the
statement,
bag.
Tariq? Because he got the bag.
No. All I got is a big body and small wheels. All right, that's all I got. All right. But to add something else to that, like I don't know anybody. Have any of y'all played Spider-Man Miles Morales? Right. Yeah. And okay, so when I played that one, like I literally like within the first 5 minutes, I was like crying. Right.
It's historic. It is historic.
It was historic, and the reason why I was crying, and I didn't even like it gave me something that I never knew I needed. Right. I saw an African American boy. Right, wearing Timbs and Canadian Fat Goose, right, bobbing down the street in New York, just like I used to, right, and everything like one of the things that people were offended by, but I don't see why. One of the guys wrote he had the what's the name, the over exaggerated bravado of a black teen, right? I was like, yo, that boy is hip hop, and there's nothing more over exaggerated and bravadacious. I just made that word up, bravadacious, right? Than hip hop, right? So like. Seeing that, right? And then like the fact that he's like black and Puerto Rican, right? Where they had a traditional Puerto Rican Christmas dinner, right? And seeing a little coquito frog in the bathroom, every little aspect of it.
Absolutely.
It was
like, all real. You talking about a black superhero, you got black game developers, it was black music, it was all culture, and it shows what we can and will do. I was so ecstatic to meet there's a black female owned gaming studio.
That's amazing.
And then people don't know that she's working with Sare right now to create a game with Sare, and she's talked about how hard it was for her to get funding. And Ray said, you know what? Help me create a game that I've always wanted to do, and I'll help fund you. We don't have to worry about going to somebody else that doesn't look like us to make this happen. And so we have the power. We definitely have the discretionary income, and the bank accounts to create this, this history. There's a whole bunch of amazing individual black game developers. Facebook Gaming right now is doing this $10 million fund to help black game developers. There's a lot of individuals, but the two outside of hers, black owned gaming studios I know, one's in France and the other one's in Japan. And they're not even in the United States. And there's a reason why. So we've got to be able to be comfortable with and rally our resources together and create and make these things happen. We also have a black Catwoman right now. We got a black Batwoman.
We had that before. We had black Catwoman before. Eartha Kitt.
Yeah, you're right. Eartha Kitt first. Absolutely. No, I'm saying, but we have right now.
I got it.
Black Spider-Man, Batwoman, and Catwoman. So our and we had Black Panther, and it made billions of dollars worldwide. So we're much bigger than the United States, and we create the culture. So I don't know why anybody would be offended by what they saw, because that's real life. That's real people. Just like in these games. So we have to develop and show that and celebrate ourselves and not be afraid of or ashamed of it.
Right. I agree with you. Power to the people.
All day. Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever. Yeah, my bad.
So this next question that we have, we're going to start with Tad, Logan, and Markevis. Actually, we'll start with Markevis, then go to Logan and Tad. How do you envision the development of an ecosystem centered around, what you guys do, and that encompasses esports, right? That can help provide a new economic stimulus to the community and in the region. Because here in Delaware, I feel like things are a bit different as opposed to other places. So once again, how do you guys envision the development of an ecosystem with what you guys do, esports, and how can that provide a new economic stimulus to our communities and to regions that surround us?
Gotcha. Well, again, I'm always looking at opportunities and looking at possibilities. And when you look at the possibility, you see everything is possible. With us here at Nerd It Now, we're directly aligned with the technology, infusing technology back into our community. And any way that we can help, and we always said with Futures First, like we're here on your technological side to help provide the technology to make it happen. But you need to look beyond, like earlier today, I said like 15 years ago, we couldn't think we'll be seeing videos through our cell phones. Look at Reach Riverside right now. I grew up in Riverside. I would have never imagined things that's happening today will ever happen in Riverside. And if we think that same, like if you take the leadership or the mindset that Logan's doing with Riverside and put it within this ecosystem within gaming, you'll really see like things can really happen. We need to find the opportunities, like Keisha was talking about earlier, all the job opportunities that could be happening. But even beyond, there's this tech divide, there's an income divide, but let's help close the wealth divide. Let's show there's entrepreneurial ways within gaming, whether we come together and build our own Delaware e-gaming team. Whether we go back and say, okay, we want to actually build our own studio here, we could build the technology. That's not hard to do, and it takes slow. It's slow in the beginning, but you actually come together and actually start putting our resources together to start building something bigger than what it really is. Next thing you know, we're not only influential here in Delaware, but in the tri-state area. And the way I see Nerded Now growing, we're here in Delaware. We'll go to Philly. We'll go to Baltimore, and then we take our fishing line and throw it to California. We get our fish in California, and then you reel it and you close that divide. And this is the way you can do it with the e-gaming, regardless of where you're at.
Can I ask a question? And this question is to Christopher, right? So, Christopher, as an East Gaming sports coach, right? Like, what for me, like, I mean, I'm kind of like starting to visualize that, but what goes into that, right? And what are the things that you're looking for in people that want to play, and also things that you're looking for, as far as things that you need to have if you want to be a coach?
Well, it's just like any other sport. You're looking at personality. As an educator, you're looking at GPA. You're looking at if they're a team player. You of course you're looking at ranks, depending on what development you're looking for, or what developer, what game it is. But you want an all around, student, someone that you can help develop, somebody that you can help market, because we're in an age now where the NCAA has the new rule about the photo likeness. So kids are able to build their own brands. You kept talking about entrepreneurship. And so, just honing them in and kind of reeling them in so they can be presented at a collegiate level or at a professional level. And nobody's built that pipeline yet. And so it's just a matter of just growing that kid or young adult as a person and a business person in general.
Because like the thing that I think that's beautiful about that is there's two sources of revenue for
Hmm.
students to go to college on there, right? A, they could self-fund their college experience just from monetizing their gameplay, and B, universities are going to want to be a sponsor, right? So like, all right, so then in coaching a kid,
No,
right?
we're not.
Well, I mean, eventually
Oh,
universities will.
go ahead.
Eventually universities definitely will. Right?
Yeah.
It's too big. I mean, Philadelphia's building a $20 million arena just for esports, right?
Hmm.
Universities, Temple University will be in there, and I promise within the next 5 years, you'll see a Temple Owls esports gaming thing, and I'm gonna be right there with my what's name, Go Owls, Temple U, what? Even though I went to Pitt, but anyway, I taught at Temple, so that's fair. Anyway, so the thing is that like when you're coaching, like I love that you talked about the holistic thing, right?
Hmm.
But like how do you coach somebody in playing a video game, right? Like what
Oh,
does that
that's
look like?
oh, it looks like I said, like any other game. We can go into depth about that. So, like, take my Rocket League team for example. So we come in, we do scrimmages against other schools.
Hmm.
We capture the replay. So we go over film, we go over spacing.
Hey,
Who
Chris,
missed the ball, who did.
tell them what Rocket League is. If you what it is, what is Rocket League?
Uh, so Rocket League is a Rocket League is a 3v3, three person against three other people. You're controlling cars within a soccer arena, and you're pretty much playing soccer with cars. And
Okay,
so
so are there like playbooks? Is it like a strategy? Do you got your game?
yeah, I mean, yeah, you got game film like I just said. You just we capture the game film from the scrimmage or from the game that we played that week that's in within our division. We come back. I'm the head coach, and I come back with my assistant coach, and we go over film. We take notes. Hey, we need to work on this technique. We need to work on that technique. That game is built for esport. If you want to hear the air ball, it's a simulator that you can go in and practice air balls for an hour. Nothing's like real gameplay, so we try to make sure that our kids have a scrimmage. My 2K players, we go over, what player has what badges. You need to be educated
Mm.
about what player has different attributes. What his shot meter is shot meter fast or slow? What happens when the intimidator badge comes on? Like, you need to be in depth. You need to have in depth knowledge about the game. So it's not just, oh, I'm gonna pick up the controller and play and beat everybody in my neighborhood. That's not your competitor. That's not your esports player at all. Your esports player has knowledge around the game. Period.
Mm.
Chris, you've done this, and we have a question in the chat, and we actually had a question as well, and they marry up quite nicely. So you take this first, and then Keshia, if you can take this as well. Everybody still good on time though?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a question in the chat from Villa Latif 12, and it says, "How do we
Hold on,
get?"
before you answer that. Actually, she's a teacher and a friend of mine. And she's also from the school that I talked to y'all about helping them with their game day, which is going to be December 21st.
Perfect. Yeah,
Oh,
we're
perfect.
definitely looking forward to
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to you. Thanks for attending, and we'll definitely connect with you to help facilitate.
Penwood. Oh, she went
Penwood.
to
Penwood.
Penwood Middle School.
Penwood. Okay, cool. So the question is, how do we get gaming in middle and high school levels so they are ready to have that on their transcripts to look at appealing to admissions? And our question, which is very similar, is what can we as gamers do to help more schools and learning centers implement esports into their educational curriculum? So what did you do to make sure that SU Labs was had a team? It was bought in by the administration, and now obviously you're very successful.
Yeah. So like I said before, my director was a gamer. He understood gaming, but he didn't know what esports was. So what I did was I kidnapped him, put him on my truck, and took him to Arlington, Texas, where it's the biggest esports arena in the country. And I said, "Come on, we're gonna spend this weekend. We're gonna learn. I'm gonna show you what esports is all about." Halfway back from that kidnap, he said, "Man, I get it. I'm gonna lean on you for this one. I don't really understand it, but it takes selling it to your administrator, winning them over. I mean, we have the power of the internet. You can look up, the numbers, as far as student engagement, what it does to the culture of the school. It's a win for everybody. That's not hard to find, and it's middle school leagues out here. You have like the middle school esports league. You have Play VS. You have high school esports league. You have enough leagues around here and enough support. You have nonprofits. You have STEM grants available where you can fund your esports program. So I started out with a local Rotary Club grant for $10,000 to build out my lab, and the rest of it was approach that probably Logan or Tariq uses all the time. I built a sponsorship deck. Like I said, I was an entrepreneur before an educator, so all that came easy to me. But if you're just an educator, it's easy. Just Google sponsorship decks and build your information about your school, about what the school offers, the number of students that are there, like all that matters. It's all about the numbers when it comes down to sponsorships and donations. And so, a lot of educators don't know that the school is a nonprofit. So use that nonprofit status to make sure you secure the right things for your students. And
Let me add
it's a
something to
bunch
my
of
man
hard work.
Chris.
It's some long nights. But
So Chris,
go
neither
ahead.
Chris nor FFG was advocating for kidnapping administrators. He was being facetious. I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer so we don't get sued.
With them
Yeah.
glasses on, you can never trust Tariq. From New
No,
York.
never try.
From a BCGA perspective,
Yep.
Prior to starting BCGA, I have had an agency called Insights Marketing Promotions. We've worked around HBCUs, multicultural marketing, targeting what we call or marketing and targeting special audiences. Whether it's LGBTQ, Gen X, Y, Z, and all the other alphabets that it's become now millennials. And so when as soon as I went back and saw that my nephew couldn't find an HBCU, I went to our 30 of our clients who work at HBCUs as presidents, provosts, and or board members. And I asked them what they were doing in the space. Where were they? And more importantly, how could we help them to figure out what they needed to do in esports and gaming? And just like with our parents, a lot of administrators have heard about esports and gaming, but they don't understand the vast opportunities that exist. But what I must commend them on is the fact that they were interested in doing what they need to do to get their campuses and students into the space. We have an uphill battle because of in the middle of this pandemic where esports and gaming has continued to rise, enrollment numbers, revenue that the HBCUs are making has declined substantially. And so that's providing a challenge to find the resources to put against building out these esports and gaming labs on campus, which aren't cheap. And we have less than a handful of HBCUs out of 97 accredited schools that even have esports gaming labs on their campuses, and they're not really esports gaming labs in comparison to our PWI institutions. But the fact that they were interested in, and just like Chris said, you have to start at the top and get their buy-in, and then it's going to be an entire for BCGA an entire campus approach, because we're more than just playing the game and going into the rec center or the league. We're getting the career center involved, all of the different deans, as well as the career management directors within the respective schools and colleges to help them understand that this is not just an engineering or a CIS opportunity. This opportunity touches, broadcast journalism, fine arts, business school, journalism. I mean, like music, the music department. So there's so many opportunities, and in helping all the entire school system understand and embrace that. And of course, we're working with and talking to the athletic departments as well. So it is a full campus approach to this and helping them. And, another thing too, is we need the provost and the president to buy off on the fact that we've got to educate the students first. So we need you to let the students be educated. We need you to help us start creating classes on the campus level, and hopefully either getting minors, certificates, and or majors offerings in esports and gaming. So these students have what they need to be prepared and ready to go into, whether it's an entrepreneur or the corporate side of this industry.
So so right now I'm looking at something, right? And I just want y'all to see what I'm seeing. So we have Logan, who has access to a whole bunch of teams at the team warehouse, right? I'm seeing a pipeline from Logan to you, Keshia, from Logan to you, Chris, from Logan to Tad. I'm seeing a pipeline right now, whereas like we can already funnel our kids from Logan right over to you guys if that's some type of an interest. Logan, how do you think that we could develop something like that? And are you already doing things that is like actual pipeline to higher education and higher learning?
So hold on real quick. Tariq as well, because I know Tariq and Code Differently have relationships as well with universities.
Where Logan goes, I go. All right. So when you said Logan,
so I mean, the ecosystem of players are in place, which is why we wanted to convene everybody. So let's roadmap it. Go ahead, Logan.
I was going to say 2 questions.
Oh, no, and sorry, one thing, I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be programs like Inroads. There used to be summer, job programs in the cities or with different departments. We need to get back into creating high school jobs, and then we can have high school students work in esports and gaming and start building them early and getting that foundation in place. So then they're, college and everything else just continues to expand and increase their knowledge, provides the additional certifications and or degrees that they need to continue. But we need to start getting them opportunities to start working early in the industry and making money. And their parents, again, will be a lot more supportive when they're like, hey, you're gaming, but you're also helping to pay the bills at home. You're helping to support the household, and you're learning.
Why is Chewbacca and Biden in their backgrounds?
Look, he wanted to flex.
Time out. I want to flex too.
Humble
I love
brag.
Star Wars.
And then, can they come in this young? Like my little man, he a beast. Don't let my man. Don't sleep on him. These nerds, us nerds, man. We part of this pipeline, right? Right now.
I love it. Is that Biden behind Logan?
That is Biden.
Yeah, that's
Biden was.
Why y'all flexing?
I had to flex. Biden was with us on election day.
Yes,
and I got my next generation right here.
Oh, I love it. I got
Biden wasn't just there for there. Biden has also been a financial contributor to Kingswood and the warehouse.
Yeah, we got 6 figures from Biden a couple of years ago.
I didn't tell me how to swim.
Clowns. Yeah. I mean, obviously it's getting late and people are not getting focused anymore. And I got kids waking up from that. And look like Markevis has the same. But to answer your question, I mean, like I said, we're already partnering with, I think, half the people on the screen to provide that pipeline and those opportunities for our teams. And we've already secured the funding for 2021. We secured the bag to employ, 125 teams to pay them to
Yes.
take on these experiences. Again, the kids in that we deal with don't necessarily have the opportunities to do things for free. They need to make money, whether it's to pay for their own clothing, food, or to support the overall household income. So us being able to secure funding from corporate sponsors and such, and then give them engaging, meaningful experiences that they enjoy, is that pipeline that you're talking about, Malcolm.
All right. Yep. Go ahead, man.
No, I'm good. You got it.
Oh, okay. So as you talked about, we run over. We knew this panel would run over because you all have been so great. But in the interest of time and respecting your time, we're going to probably wrap it up pretty soon because we could have this conversation all day, and we definitely want to invite you all back, for another panel at our next streamed event like this. But as we are departing,
Anyway, one thing I want to recommend. Sorry to cut you off, but what I'm thinking about it is, and this is much better than football. I'm a huge football fanatic. This is much better than my sad Cowboys right now. And I've been to that center.
Shout out to the Cowboys.
Shout out to the Cowboys.
We're winning right now.
We trash right now, but
we're winning. Hold on, we're winning right now, and after today, we'll probably be just one game out of first place. So that's how sad it is.
That's how sad the NFC East is right now.
Yeah.
But I wrapped the Cowboys game weekend and got a chance to see the Esports Arena in Arlington, and it is absolutely amazing, Chris. So that was a great example to show your administration what success and opportunities could look like. But a couple of things I recommend to the students and or teachers that are on this panel is that start looking for mentors in this space. If there's an entrepreneur, a gamer, whoever that you have been watching, following, reach out to them and ask them, can I, ask questions, bounce ideas, thoughts off of you, even if it's once a month, a couple times a month. Most people make time, especially when they know you have a passion, interest, and energy in what they're doing. And that's a good relationship to start building now. And they can help start also possibly giving you tips on potential jobs, internships, careers, things to do and not do in this space. And I would definitely recommend that as sooner rather than later. And don't be afraid to ask. A closed mouth will never eat. So don't have a problem asking. If they say no, I promise you there's 3 or 4 other people out there to do the same thing. And you'll find a yes.
Absolutely.
So just keep trying at it. And you look at Joe Biden. 3 times you tried for president. And he is what? Our president-elect. I see the Eagles over there.
Yeah, we about to boot you, Tariq, because we are definitely not Eagles fans over here, bro. Not at all.
No, Cowboys.
So in closing, a couple things. Real quick from each of you, can you name possibly one additional resource that you can provide to parents who may be watching, or even educators? Keshia, you actually just did it, right? You gave a strategy. But an additional resource to parents or educators to help educate them on opportunities that esports can provide their children from an education perspective through to career path opportunities and development. So give me sort of one resource that you could say, go check this out if you're a parent or an educator that's watching. Go ahead, Tab, we'll start with you.
Sure, thanks. Well, I'm going to say mine are actually animation based, because I'm still coming at this from a creative perspective, someone who is both a consumer, but also creating these games that people really enjoy. So there are 2 for those sort of like aspiring animators out there. There is a group called Rise Up Animation. It's for people of color who are underrepresented in the animation, video game, film industry. They have panels, free workshops, and mentorship programs. Rise Up Animation is the name. You'll find them on Instagram and then also on Facebook. And then also Women in Animation is the organization. They're both nonprofits. They're both LA based. Women in Animation also offers scholarship opportunities. So those are really, obviously money is a really big part of your education, right? So please take advantage of those two resources.
As for mine, I'm gonna do a shameless plug for my company, Code Differently. Code Differently, we offer, we do a lot of free to the students programming for learning, getting into software development. We also work in high schools, and we have right now currently 50 high school students as paid interns learning how to do software development. In the summer, we work with HBCUs. So if you know a student at an HBCU that wants to be in programming, we offer paid internships in a 5-week program, and also lining them up with job interviews directly after. We have students placed at JP Morgan Chase, Facebook, Uber, Intuit, Northrop Grumman, and a bunch of other Comcast, and a bunch of other companies.
I guess my resource would be the Varsity Esports Foundation. Great resource for parents that need to see information about esports, educators that need to see information about esports. They also supply sponsorships and scholarships for youth that want to get into esports. And it's just a great resource. They have free video courses. Some you have to pay, but it is a nonprofit. And so that's Varsity Esports Foundation.
Great resources for all of you. So, as we begin to wrap, one of the things that we are excited about as an organization here at Futures First Gaming, and that we want to share the news, Mal. We heard about a few days ago.
Oh yeah, we were nominated for Delaware Business of the Year, and actually, some of our people that are on this actual this panel right now.
Of course.
We have Markevis was nominated for what? What was it? Innovator of the Year, bro? What was it? That was it? That which what was it?
He's like, nah, get it right.
I don't know.
Like I said, look, listen. It just I'm so used to it now. I don't remember.
I think he was one of the technology innovators of the year.
Yeah, I think Markevis was nominated for something, and then also Tariq's partner Stephanie Eldridge was nominated for what was it? What was it, Tariq?
What's the name? Tech Innovation Leader of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, we are all
Melody
doing.
Phillips from the warehouse was up in
my
there
director of operations.
Oh yeah. Melody,
exactly.
yes,
so
Melody. Yep.
So we have a lot of heavy hitters on this.
She must be in the same category as y'all. Y'all ain't trying to give her no shine.
Nah, listen, we ain't worried about